Good afternoon to you. 3:06 now, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up, James Lynch is here from the Daily Caller this hour. We'll talk to him about all of the breaking news about Hunter Biden and the sale of his macaroni art. He made so much money. What a successful amateur artist he is. What's really behind all of that movement of so-called artwork and money? James will tell us. Julie Kelly is here at 4:30 today. A number of federal judges smacking down the effort to trample Donald Trump's rights. Carrie Severino joins us at 5 o'clock today with the Judicial Crisis Network. We'll talk to her about an important Supreme Court case today designed to stop the federal government from abusing its power. We're rooting for liberty here. And we'll be grateful for your calls today. 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Rooting for liberty, and grateful that I was able to travel to and fro without any meaningful snow on the road. It's cool to get snow. I think the thing, if you're an adult, especially the older you get, the thing you like about snow is seeing the flakes for like 5 minutes, and then after that, you've had enough. Thank you very much. I've had enough of the snow. You can go away now. You can melt. You can disappear. But for me, I've got a 9-year-old daughter, so it was a great day yesterday morning. My 9-year-old and my dog had just an absolute blast, just tearing through the snow yesterday. So that was really fun to see. My dog's hilarious because he gets excited when the ice maker on the refrigerator starts going off. He loves ice, so I always make sure to punch a cube down from it. But as I'm pouring the ice into my cup, sometimes the ice spills out accidentally, but most of the time I'm pretending to accidentally spill ice. So I'll knock a piece down onto the floor. My dog will leap on it. It's his prized possession. It's his dessert. He gets to chew an ice cube, and he has a great time. So we let him outside, and he was in heaven. It was like, you remember Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, and Augustus Gloop sticks his face right into the chocolate river, and he falls in? That was my dog yesterday, just absorbing snow. We had to let him out to pee a lot later, but he had a great time. So a good time was had in the Coglianese household yesterday with all of that snow. But it's enough. It's enough. I know that the forecast keeps on threatening more, but I like conversational snow. You ever heard of that reference? Conversational snow is just good enough to talk about and nothing else. That's what I prefer. But for now, my 9-year-old likes snowmen, and my dog loves consuming it. I just had to tell my kid, I was like, just make sure he doesn't eat dirty snow, would you? Just guide him towards the white snow if he's going to eat it. Yeah. There's also an interesting phenomenon taking place in Davos today, where they think they can control the weather. Davos, Switzerland, the World Economic Forum going on today. It is amusing that the World Economic Forum has invited a number of people to speak this year who hate them. And I don't know what they think they're going to do, if they're going to pull a fast one. Maybe these people should definitely check their food to see if it's poisoned. But among the people they've invited is, first and foremost, we had the president of the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts, on last week to talk about this because he said he got an invite. And under normal circumstances, if the head of a conservative think tank here in Washington, D.C. had an invite to a globalist gathering, you'd be very concerned about what the hell's going on at that conservative think tank that they think it's a good idea to party with and sell us out to the globalists. That is not what Heritage is doing. That is not what Kevin Roberts is doing. Kevin told us on this program last week that he thinks the World Economic Forum and all of the associated globalists are evil. And so when I asked him, what do you plan on saying? He said, that. I want to tell them they're evil. What they're doing is destructive to human flourishing. And Kevin's address is set to take place tomorrow morning. I was just texting with the guy just to verify the time. Programming note here, it looks like 10:15 tomorrow morning. Kevin is going to be, that's Eastern time, going to be giving a tongue lashing to the World Economic Forum. Very excited for that. But the reason I was texting him is because I was amused and impressed by the speech that we heard today from the Argentinian president, Javier Milei. You know Milei? You know, the wild man down in South America? He's the guy who just got elected, to the consternation of globalists everywhere, to shrink government in Argentina and to get rid of collectivism and to restore individual liberty and bring about prosperity in his country. And one of my favorite videos of him, perhaps you've seen it, is the one where he's ripping the names of each of the different cabinet departments off of the wall and throwing them on the ground. declaring that he would end each of them. It's like the Ministry of Women and Transgender Rights or whatever. He's just gone. He's just throwing them on the ground. Gone. And what did he do? As soon as he got in office, he consolidated a bunch of these cabinets agencies right away. And so I'm saying a prayer for the people of Argentina that this works out, because it'll be a useful example for the rest of the Western world that they should follow suit and abandon the destructive patterns of socialism and collectivism that we've seen play out so many times with so much bloody end. So Javier Milei today, introduced by a Bond villain himself, Klaus Schwab, the head of the World Economic Forum, introduces Milei today. I swear to you, I was watching this video. I made sure I didn't watch it live. I pulled it up a little bit later. And as soon as Klaus Schwab began his introduction, I belly laughed, because the guy is just, he just sounds evil. I'm sorry, it's the German accent.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's for me a great honor to welcome Javier Milei. As you know, he's a freely elected president of Argentina, and it's actually your first trip to a foreign country after you have been elected. First, congratulations for your election, and congratulations also to your sister, who managed your election campaign.
He didn't have much more to say. He introduces Javier Milei, who stands up there and immediately tells the audience that the West is in danger from the types of people who are in that room.
Today, I'm here to tell you that the Western world is in danger. And it is endangered because those who are supposed to have to defend the values of the West are co-opted by a vision of the world that inexorably leads to socialism and thereby to poverty. Unfortunately, in recent decades, motivated by some well-meaning individuals willing to help others, and others motivated by the wish to belong to a privileged caste, the main leaders of the Western world have abandoned the model of freedom for different versions of what we call collectivism. We're here to tell you that collectivist experiments are never the solution to the problems that afflict the citizens of the world. Rather, they are the root cause. Do believe me, no one better placed than us, Argentines, to testify to these 2 points.
So Javier Milei then decides to give everybody a bit of a history lesson on how it is that the standard of living around the globe has increased so dramatically in just the last 200 years alone. We have the entirety of human history to examine. And if you just look at the last 2 centuries, something dramatic has changed. And that thing is free market capitalism.
When you look at per capita GDP since the year 1800 and until today, what you will see is that after the Industrial Revolution, global per capita GDP multiplied by over 15 times, which meant a boom in growth that lifted 90% of the global population out of poverty. We should remember that by the year 1800, about 95% of the world's population lived in extreme poverty, and that figure dropped to 5% by the year 2020, prior to the pandemic. The conclusion is obvious. Far from being the cause of our problems, free trade capitalism as an economic system is the only instrument we have to end hunger, poverty, and extreme poverty across our planet.
Oh, yeah, up until the Industrial Revolution, almost every single person on the planet was living in extreme poverty. I picture it like the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, when they're like hanging out in the dirt piles. There's some lovely filth over here. Yeah, people were living in filth and squalor and poverty. A very select few had access to luxury and riches. A very select few. And they guarded it zealously against everyone else. And now you're looking at centuries of economic growth for all of us. Milei points out that in the United States, he doesn't say United States, but in the countries with these free market economies that have done so well, that the bottom 10% of the country is better off than the top 90% in almost every authoritarian country on the planet. In other words, like, the quality of life in a place like the United States is better at the bottom of the economic totem pole than it is near the top in so many authoritarian countries. And that is true. And the left is trying to destroy all of it. They're trying to diminish all of it. And so Javier Milei is warning that collectivism will be our end. Here's more.
Since there is no doubt that free enterprise capitalism is superior in productive terms, the left-wing doxa has attacked capitalism, alleging matters of morality, saying, that's what the detractors claim, that it's unjust. They say that capitalism is evil because it's individualistic, and that collectivism is good because it's altruistic, of course, with the money of others. So they therefore advocate for social justice. But this concept, which in the developed world became fashionable in recent times, in my country has been a constant in political discourse for over 80 years. The problem is that social justice is not just, and it doesn't contribute either to the general well-being. Quite on the contrary, it's an intrinsically unfair idea because it's violent. It's unjust because the state is financed through tax. And taxes are collected coercively. Or can any one of us say that they voluntarily pay taxes, which means that the state is financed through coercion.
And Javier Milei, being libertarian, fundamentally, it attacks this from the perspective of, hey, every time there is trouble, every time there's any sort of problem in the market, there is a government cause for that. There's a cause associated. And so, here in the United States, one of the things, certainly here on the program, we talk about this a lot. Some of these big companies, the ones who are abusing their power, Google, others, to say attack free speech and to limit the town square, much of that is done in concert with the United States government. It's not just that they're using free market power. It's cronyism. It's the government directing or aiding and abetting the destruction of a free market. So Javier Milei is saying, hey, wherever you detect problems, the government's involved.
If the state punishes capitalists when they're successful and gets in the way of the discovery process, they will destroy their incentives, and the consequence is that they will produce less, the pie will be smaller, and this will harm society as a whole. Collectivism, by inhibiting these discovery processes and hindering the appropriation of discoveries, ends up binding the hands of entrepreneurs.
Right, and it diminishes productivity and it suffocates the ability for people who want to start business, entrepreneurs, from thriving, and from people who would benefit from those businesses, either through the better goods and services, lower cost goods and services, or deriving a living off of the activity of those entrepreneurs. Everybody's diminished by it. Everybody. And that's because of the government. That's because of collectivism. That's because of the people in the room that Javier Milei is addressing. And he doesn't hold back. He has something decent to say about humans. Far too few people in Davos do.
All humans are created equal, that we all have the same unalienable rights granted by the Creator, including life, freedom, and ownership. All that this radical feminism agenda has led to is greater state intervention to hinder the economic process, giving a job to bureaucrats who have not contributed anything to society. Examples, ministries of women or international organizations devoted to promoting this agenda.
They've produced nothing. He said these are just overpaid bureaucrats who produce nothing, destroy everything, and sit in a luxurious office doing it. Isn't that great? It's just so awesome. We need more of this, don't we? And I mentioned he was libertarian. People sometimes associate being a libertarian with being, surrendering on the abortion question. Javier Milei does not surrender on abortion. He believes in life. And he points out that it's the collectivists, it's the left that is, who are very much for eradicating these children.
Another conflict presented by socialists is that of humans against nature, claiming that we human beings damage the planet, which should be protected at all costs, even going as far as advocating for population control mechanisms or the bloody abortion agenda. Unfortunately, these harmful ideas have taken a strong hold in our society. Neo-Marxists have managed to co-opt the common sense of the Western world, and this they have achieved by appropriating the media, culture, universities, and also international organizations.
Yeah, he goes on to say that, look, it's all socialism. You know, there's a traditional definition of, you know, the government controlling the means of production. But what he says is that the definition in the modern time needs to be expanded to understand that it includes all of these collectivist ideologies. He said, you call it whatever you want. Socialism, communism, Marxism, Nazis, social democrats. The list is progressives. He keeps going on and on down the list. He says it's all collectivism. It's all socialism. And it will all lead to poverty and destruction. And turn back now. Turn back now is the message from Milei. He's right to deliver it. May somebody hear it. It's 3:22 now. WMAL traffic and weather.
Let no one tell you that your ambition is immoral. If you make money, it's because you offer a better product at a better price, thereby contributing to general well-being. Do not surrender to the advance of the state. The state is not the solution. The state is the problem itself. You are the true protagonists of this story. And rest assured that as from today, Argentina is your staunch, unconditional ally. Thank you very much, and long live freedom. Damn it.
The translator kind of whiffing on the end there. It wasn't long live freedom, damn it, like he had a trouble giving the speech. It was long live freedom, damn it. That's the phrase. That's the phrase. And Milei's been using it now throughout his campaign and now in his presidency in Argentina. Again, wishing him all the best here. A lot of challenges in that country. The left has really wreaked havoc there. A warning sign for the rest of us. Coming up, James Lynch is going to talk to us about the corrupt family leading this country. Hunter Biden's art sales. What's really going on there as money exchanges hands? James explores that with us next. Hey there, 3:35 now, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up 4:30, Julie Kelly joins us on the left's misuse of our justice system to attack their political opponents. Updates on that ahead. 5 o'clock, Carrie Severino joins us as the federal government is hassling fishermen in super obnoxious and expensive ways. But the fishermen are fighting back. And today in the United States Supreme Court, a big case playing out that has big ramifications on the future of liberty in this country. Perhaps a big win ahead for normal people. You can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. And just a quick reminder from the last segment, we were playing a bunch of audio, World Economic Forum, the president of Argentina, who just won election in November and just had his inauguration a few weeks ago. His name is Javier Milei. There were a bunch of calls. People wanted to make sure they got the spelling on that. The last name is Milei. Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, with big, great remarks today. I watched the whole thing. You enjoy it. Just sit and watch the whole speech if you like, or send it to a friend. He did a great job today, and it was a breath of fresh air in a world with suffocating collectivism just expanding all over the place, thanks to the left. All right, let's talk about what's going on here in the United States now. We're finding out more and more information about Hunter Biden and the family's business activities, up to and including this the fact that Hunter Biden's been selling off his macaroni art and making a lot of money. His art dealer just testified behind closed doors to Congress and revealed a lot of interesting details about that. Here to discuss that and so much more is James Lynch now, an investigative reporter for the Daily Caller, and he's on the phone. Hello, James.
Hey, Vince. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, so first and foremost, this art dealer, George Burgess, or however you pronounce it, he goes to Congress. What I didn't realize was that Hunter Biden actually stiffed him, that he feels bitter that Hunter Biden didn't apparently pay him for all of the services that he laid out for Hunter.
Yeah, so Hunter Biden's art dealer, he testified before Congress, and a couple of news outlets, including the Daily Caller, have reviewed a transcript of his testimony. And he said that Hunter brought in approximately $1.5 million worth of art sales, and their contract terms were basically Hunter made 60% of the money, as the artist, and he has basically the person who pitches potential buyers on Hunter Biden's art, markets Hunter Biden, promotes him and his art, gets 40%. And yeah, Burgess appeared to be dissatisfied with kind of how the business relationship was going, and actually a couple of months ago terminated the relationship after they first met in 2019 and kind of hit it off and started working together.
So, I mean, look, this guy, like, you know, if you're the Bidens, this guy is in control of a consequential chapter of this story. He's selling Hunter's artwork. Hunter did not sell artwork until the beginning of the Biden presidency. He begins selling it through this guy, George. And now we find out that Hunter was stiffing George, not paying him enough. I'm looking at some of the transcript here that was published. He said that it was, quote, a little bit more than I could chew. I haven't agreed to renew that contract now. He said he paid for the art shows, and he said, quote, I'm still bitter about a lot of that stuff. I took a gamble, and it didn't really pay off. So that's one of the reasons I haven't really renewed the contract. I had to do all the framing. I had to do all the shipping. I had to expedite it. And apparently he had to eat the costs, and Hunter never made good on paying him.
Yeah, Burgess, he did a lot of work for Hunter Biden, not only with eating up the costs, but for a long period of time trying to promote Hunter Biden's art as much as he possibly could. And not even because he's a hardcore Democrat or anything, but he was telling the lawmakers that he actually believed in Hunter Biden and wanted to help him out. He was actually inspired by his whole addiction story. So this isn't somebody with an axe to grind, and this isn't somebody with a political agenda. This is simply a person who was stiffed by Hunter Biden and did his best to help out somebody who we thought had potential.
How did Burgess come into contact with Hunter? Who began that relationship?
So Burgess was introduced to Hunter Biden by Lynette Phillips. She's a big-time Hollywood producer, and she's active in Democratic politics. They were introduced around the summer of 2019, and they basically built a relationship. And then, as you said, Vince, the first sale of Hunter Biden's art happened in December of 2020, right after his father was elected president. And then the sales continued after Joe Biden's inauguration and over the coming years.
So Hunter never sold a single piece of art until his father was elected president?
Yeah, Burgess, according to Hunter's art dealer, he wasn't aware of anything that Hunter Biden had sold in terms of art until Joe Biden had been elected president. The first art sale comes shortly thereafter.
Yeah, it was January of 2021 that the New York Times had a big glow-up of Hunter Biden, big piece laying out how, he's selling art now. Look at the First Son, and they had glossy photos. It was a very exciting thing that Hunter Biden was now selling art and producing it in a studio in California. Hunter, this seemed like kind of a new chapter in his life that suddenly emerged as his father was elected president.
Yeah, it's definitely been portrayed that way. Hunter kind of he is portrayed in the New York Times and friendly outlets to the Democratic Party as a drug addict who's being unfairly demonized, who recovered, and he's settled down and he's selling his artwork, and he's a real and serious artist who's not only getting attention because of his father's last name, but we know that Democratic Party donors bought substantial portions of Hunter Biden's artwork.
Yes. All right, let's talk about that. Among the donors who bought Hunter Biden's artwork happens to be the very same guy who paid off all of Hunter Biden's debt. This guy, Kevin Morris. And so let's just get into the details here. How much money did Kevin Morris give to the Biden family? And then how much did he pay, so to speak, for Hunter Biden's artwork?
Yeah, so Kevin Morris paid off approximately $2 million of Hunter Biden's overdue taxes, and in total has given Hunter Biden about $4.9 million over, I believe it's from 2020 to 2022 or 2023, to support his lifestyle. Morris is paying for things like the rent on Hunter Biden's home in California, and Morris is showing up next to Hunter Biden at the House Oversight Committee's contempt hearing. And now we know that Morris paid $875,000 for Hunter Biden's art out of the $1.5 million total in sales. And we also now know from Burgess that there is a strange payment structure for the artworks, in the sense that in all of the other transactions involving Hunter Biden, Burgess would receive the entire fee for the art, and then he would distribute it to Hunter Biden. He would distribute Hunter Biden's portion of it and distribute the rest of it to the gallery in accordance with the terms of their contract. But for Morris's purchase, Morris simply paid Burgess the commission and then Burgess had no idea what happened to the rest of the 60% that was supposed to go towards Hunter. And Burgess believes that Hunter Biden and Morris set up an arrangement where the art purchase is used by Hunter Biden to pay off some of his debt to Morris, because Morris apparently paid for Hunter Biden's expenses and taxes in the form of loans.
So let me. This is all hypothetical on my part, but I'm just putting the pieces together. So Kevin Morris, a big Democrat donor, meets Hunter Biden at a Democrat event in 2020. Correct?
Yeah, Morris meets Hunter Biden in late 2019, early 2020.
Okay.
And
excuse me, you're right. 2019. That makes sense. This is in the heat of the presidential campaign. He meets Hunter Biden, realizes that the Biden family has a huge financial liability on their hands. Hunter Biden owes a lot of money to the IRS, and he's a rich guy who wants to see Joe Biden elected so he can make that happen. So he comes in and says, okay, I'm going to pay off all of your debt. We're going to classify it as a loan. You are a ne'er-do-well who's incapable of actually generating an income to pay me back. So we're going to come up with a scheme here, and the scheme is this. You are going to create art. You're going to make a bunch of art, and then we're going to put it up for auction. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy it. I'll buy it from you. And instead of exchanging cash, I'll just forgive your debt through all of this artwork, and then problem solved. I mean, I know James, as a reporter, you can only go so far in terms of your conclusions here, but boy, that sure seems like what I'm staring at.
Yeah, that appears to be a very feasible theory, given that Hunter Biden's art dealer believes Morris did in fact use the art to help Hunter Biden pay off the debt that he owed to Morris for the loans that you talked about. And in terms of Morris helping out Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's presidential campaign with what was a major liability at the time, there are emails now, thanks to the IRS whistleblowers, showing that Morris was well aware of the risks surrounding Hunter's overdue taxes and was urging Hunter Biden's accountant to make sure that they got those filed and they got those paid. And this was happening in early 2020 as the Democratic primary was heating up, and there was renewed scrutiny being paid onto Hunter Biden because of his business dealings and because of his debauchery and his lifestyle.
Yeah.
But Morris was well aware of what he was doing, and the IRS whistleblowers believe that there was kind of a campaign finance component to what Morris was doing for Hunter Biden. And we know from the IRS whistleblowers that Jim Biden, Hunter Biden's uncle and business associate, thanked Morris on behalf of the family for what he did for Hunter Biden.
Yeah. One other big piece that bears mentioning is that Hunter Biden owned a stake in an equity stake in a Chinese firm as his father became president of the United States. He continued to have that equity stake well into the Biden presidency. But places like the New York Post, the Daily Caller, and others were asking questions like, hey, when is Hunter Biden going to divest from this thing? That seems like a massive conflict of interest. The son of the president of the United States owns a stake in a big Chinese firm. And when he finally did divest, who did he divest to, James Lynch?
Kevin Morris appears to have taken on the stake in the Chinese firm.
This guy is playing a pretty important role in this saga, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a pretty central character at this point. He was sitting right next to Hunter Biden, as I was saying, on Wednesday, and he's filming a documentary about Hunter Biden's life. So Morris is a very important figure, a lesser-known figure in the entirety of the Hunter Biden saga.
How much do you want to bet that the fee that he's going to pay to Hunter Biden for his involvement in the documentary will be the balance of the debt that Hunter owes to Kevin Morris?
Yeah, he definitely might do that. I think in terms of Morris and Hunter Biden's financial relationship, that's definitely an area where more investigative activity needs to take place.
All right. One real quick, some other Hunter Biden headlines coming out. We see that the Department of Justice has now, for the first time, acknowledged the legitimacy of the Hunter Biden laptop. Why did that take so long?
Yeah, the Department of Justice, in a response motion yesterday, acknowledged that the laptop was obtained in 2019, and it was cross-referenced with Hunter Biden's iCloud account, and that allowed them to verify the laptop. which is the same thing that IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley testified about. Shapley said that in November of 2019, the FBI authenticated the contents of Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop by matching it to the iCloud account, which investigators had come up on before that. They had obtained a search warrant to look into what was on the iCloud account because they believed that there was potential tax issues involved there. And so the DOJ said in a motion yesterday that the laptop had been authenticated based on the Apple iCloud account, confirming what has been known for a long time, that the archive on Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop is completely real and completely authentic.
In other words, Joe Biden lied on a 2020 debate stage, and then many Democrats after that continued to lie about the legitimacy of the laptop and the data on that computer.
Yes, Joe Biden lied on the debate stage based on a letter signed by 51 former intelligence officials who falsely claimed that the laptop was a product of Russian disinformation. And Democrats continue to parrot that line. Even recently at a hearing with Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger, two of the Twitter Files journalists, Dan Goldman, New York Democratic representative, he basically said something along the lines of the laptop archive being a Russian conspiracy.
Here are two pieces of audio for the audience's benefit. Joe Biden, 2020 debate.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what. This is where.
One of countless lies in Biden's career. Here's Dan Goldman recently in November making a similar claim.
Problem is that hard drives can be manipulated by Rudy Giuliani or Russia.
But what's the evidence that happened?
Well, there is actual evidence of it, but the point is it's not
no evidence for it, so you're engaging in a conspiracy.
I'm glad you agree.
Yeah, Dan Goldman lying to the American people there. It's brazen, James Lynch.
Yeah, and they still haven't presented any evidence that the hard drive was manipulated. And now there's confirmation from criminal investigators on the Hunter Biden case that the laptop is completely authentic, and we know their methodology for authenticating the laptop. Dozens of media outlets have authenticated the laptop, and there hasn't been any credible argument that the archive of the laptop is not authentic.
Finally, James, I also see the headline, the FBI investigators found cocaine on Hunter Biden's property. What can you tell us there?
Yeah, they found cocaine on Hunter Biden's leather gun pouch. In 2023, they pulled the evidence from a police vault, and they took a look at it because Hunter is facing 3 federal gun charges. So they took a look at the actual firearm that was stored, and they found powdered cocaine on his leather pouch that held the firearm in October 2018. And this is the firearm that he bought while he was addicted to crack cocaine, according to his own memoir, Beautiful Things.
So they obtained the leather pouch in 2018, and they didn't find the cocaine until 2023?
Apparently, they did not test this powder until recently, but they did appear to find cocaine on this gun pouch that Hunter Biden was using 5 years ago when he was a drug addict and he had purchased this weapon.
Wow. All right. Well, the FBI found it. In case you're wondering what the half-life on cocaine is, it's still there 5 years later. Hey, thank you very much, James Lynch. Good to talk to you as always today. Thank you for digging in on all of this.
You know, I spent more time on my hands and knees picking through rugs, smoking anything that even remotely resembled crack cocaine. I probably smoked more Parmesan cheese than anyone that you know, I'm sure, Tracy.
He should have checked his gun case. He would have found some there. The FBI just did, apparently. Hey, coming up, the White House is standing by its lies that Texas is getting people killed on the border. Total scam there. And Julie Kelly will be joining us here in the next hour to discuss how the government is trampling all over Donald Trump and, by extension, your rights.